Okay, I'm trying out my new mic. This is very exciting and very weird. I can't shift my clothes too much. I know this is probably too close to me, but I wanted it in the frame. I can't shift my clothes too much because it makes you can hear it. It's too immersive. It's too immersive. I don't want to be whispering in your ear, you know? So, okay. Ugh, I can't move at all. You can hear it. Me holding still, impossible. So I was thinking about something recently in a few encounters I've had with some friends who have rising signs on either side of mine. So I'm a Libra rising, and I have some Virgo rising friends that are near and dear. I have some Scorpio rising friends that are near and dear. And there is a phenomenon that I have experienced with these folks because of chart synastry. So also some of this is other people agree with me, and some of this is per usual biddy astrology, which means that it's something I've observed, so I think it's true, but it doesn't mean that an astrology institute would agree with me. But who cares? You're not here for that. So one of those things is what I'm about to say, which is the idea that folks who have planets and rising sign or rising signs that are your 12th house cusp. So usually that's just a sign behind your rising sign. Depends on housing systems. There are, exceptions. Just occurred to me that astrology is kind of like biology, where there's exceptions to every biological rule, and other scientists who aren't biologists kind of despise biology for its exceptionalisms. And I'm a biologist, so making connections, so sorry. So with the 12th house, I'm a Libra rising, and when I encounter friends who are Virgo risings, they have a lot of perception into my 12th house. And the 12th house is so liminal. The 12th house is a place that I think of it a couple ways. I think of it as the before and also the after, but it's non-physical. There are elements of it that are physical, but it's a liminal space where we all kind of collectively dissolve. That's the spiritual component of it. There's also the very human component of the 12th house, which is the 12th house represents prisons and institutionalization and senior living kind of places, old folks' homes. But that part of the 12th house is the very low vibrational, shameful expression of the 12th, which and it's also hidden enemies, kind of funky. But the 12th house, the lower, more just lower vibration, I know it's whatever, lower vibration of the 12th house are the things that we don't like about ourselves. And we also kind of can't see it about ourselves because of the lower vibrational, let's just hide it over here. Oh, these people, we don't want them as part of society. Let's do an us versus them and go hide them over here so we don't have to deal with them. And obviously, institutions that hide people or keep them out of sight are also out of mind for a lot of people and make them targets for abuse and attract abusers to run those places. Anyways, so the 12th house. So other Libra risings like me, if you use whole sign, which is mostly what I use, I can use any house system, but I just like that one the best. You will find that Virgo risings can read that part of yourself. Now, the other part of the 12th house is that liminal, sometimes I think of it as a womb space, but not in a attached to a body way, in an incubator kind of way of this is where we've come from, this is where we will go back to. Sometimes I feel that yeah, anyways, there's the spiritual connectedness of the 12th, in its highest vibration. We all belong. We are all woven into the fabric of the universe, and we all belong in it, and we all have a special place in it. and so on. So people who can see into your 12th house, meaning they have planets there or their rising sign there, to me, have like this little like window where they can look at the stuff that you try to keep hidden about yourself. They can see the stuff that makes you like spiritually interesting and profound, because we all are both of those things. And they can see the stuff that you're hiding from yourself. So I've had really profound experiences with the Virgo placements in my life and the Virgo risings in my life, because they can like see the ways and the things that I try to hide about myself. So I'm not going to tell you everything about me, but I will say that the ways that I am like Virgo, like in a low vibrational way where I am controlling, I want things to be like just so in my way, like to organize things and put them back in specific spots. So it's my version of doing this. I feel like it's a part of me that's also crow-like, but that's another story. But yeah, I like have crystals that I work with during astrology readings, and I put them back in like a specific shape after I'm done. But in my mind, I never see this as like compulsive behavior. And it is, and it's fine. We don't need to like slap a diagnosis on it, because as it stands, this is just a part of myself. But I try to hide the like controlling parts of myself away and put on like a Libra rising, like, no, I'm super chill, when nothing in my chart is. I'm not even a little bit chill. I might be understanding, I might be accepting, but I'm not chill. And it's funny to encounter Scorpio rising people, because I can see into their 12th house. I can see the Libra stuff, and my Chiron's on my ascendant. Like I can see the Chiron stuff. So I can see with Scorpio rising people in my life, and it doesn't mean it's like completely accurate. Like I'm not a fucking mind reader, but I can see the stuff that they are hiding, and I can see the stuff that's profound in them that they maybe aren't witnessing, aren't aware of, whatever. I'm in there. I'm in it as like a window, but I did this. It's fine. I'm in there. And it's really interesting because I've had some like triggering experiences with the Virgos in my life who can see the stuff about me that I'm like, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, when I clearly am that. Like you wouldn't push back so hard if you weren't actually that, you know? Interesting to encounter it on the flip side and see all the Libra stuff in someone's chart while they present as Scorpio rising. And some of this witnessing can be really useful, but we have to be gentle about it because I'm a Cancer and I said so. No, we have to be gentle about it because it's important to not push people to see something that they're not ready for or they haven't yet arrived at themselves, right? So there have been instances with my Scorpio rising people, primarily my partner and his cousin, who I'm very close to, but moments where they experience what feels like to them me projecting on them, and maybe that's part of it, but me seeing into their 12th and seeing the ways that they do Libra stuff too, but wear like a Scorpio cloak over it. So one instance of this that I think is funny now is I was talking to my partner's cousin about astrology stuff, because we always talk about that, and I was saying I really see the rising sign as a mask. It doesn't mean it's always a mask. It's a mask that we were like born into, like literally in our families, but it's a mask because there's so much in our charts that are like hiding behind the mask waiting. And like, again, maybe this is just my own experience, but every time I talk to clients about their rising sign, I'm like, okay, we overdo the rising sign. We are told to be a certain way and to perform a certain way, the rising sign, when we're little. And we have to get it in balance with the descendant, which is opposite the rising sign. So whatever sign's opposite that. So in my case, I was taught to be really diplomatic. I'm literally the middle child. Taught to be diplomatic, taught to be presentable, taught to be sociable when I'm pretty shy, was as a kid, whatever. But like be presentable in these ways. My mom did ballet, so I did ballet, like lots of like Libra-like poise. When anyone who knows me knows how much I bump into objects and how I can like put on poise, but I have to know what the dance moves are. I have to know what that looks like and how to like do the things, sit a certain way, whatever. It's something I'm putting on. Learning to balance it with Aries is learning to not be so passive. And some of this is like cultured, some of it is gendered, some of it is like white supremacy and suppression. But learning to not only do the Libra, but also embody the Aries and embody the balance, like the space in between. I'm talking about myself a lot. It's fine. I'll use myself as an example forever. So my journey has been balancing these things out, and it's so exciting for me right now because of the eclipse axis that we are currently on with Libra and Aries, because I get to experiment with that. So back to my story. So there are folks who do not agree with me that the rising sign is a mask, or at least that it's out of balance. It's true, but it's out of balance. It's the star, the constellation that was on the eastern horizon when you were born. It like puts its imprint on you. It gives it a little forehead kiss for you, but it's not the like way in the light and the truth forever. It's something that you learn to embody. You learn to be, you learn to balance. I know I'm a Libra rising, so I'd say that, but it's something you learn to balance within yourself so that you're not doing it like really out of whack. So I think it's interesting to encounter the Scorpio risings in my life because I can see into their Libra energy, the parts that they try to hide or obscure or are just completely unaware of, which is that they fawn too. They do Libra in balance and out of balance too. They want to be liked. They're just like Marceline from Adventure Time, where they're like, fine, I'll take the monster depiction, I'll take your projections, and I'll let you be scared of me because that's easier than admitting 12th house Libra stuff. So I thought I would do it for all the signs so that I'm not calling out anyone specifically, because I'm really not. It's just insight that I had recently. I clicked it together and put it in context of my Virgo rising friends who can do it to me. So let's do it with Aries rising first. So if you're an Aries rising, the Pisces 12th house stuff, again, we're using whole sign, would be the spiritual gifts and the ways that Pisces, when out of balance, has some victim stories and has some harmed by the narrative stories. Some of it's true harm, of course, but the like passive dissociative parts of Pisces, which is again part of the balance, but keeping that in balance and not seeing the totality of like spiritual gifts and dreaminess and creativity and all of the really beautiful expressions of Pisces. Aries rising doesn't see that about themselves. You might attract Pisces people into your life so that you can like get that vibe, get that understanding, witness yourself through other people, or find coziness and you're like, I wonder why I like this person. What could it be? What could it be that we have in common or not? Yes, that's Aries rising. For Taurus rising, it's that Aries 12th house. So Taurus rising is, sorry, let me go back. With Aries rising, you're telling the story of being tough, 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 tough. I'm tough, 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 tough. And the 12th house is like, and you're soft. And you can do that too. And you can be receptive and you can be magical. You don't have to just be a warrior or just wear one hat or just do one thing. You are a multidimensional badass. Welcome to the conversation. Taurus rising. Taurus rising, the pressure, the socialization is you need to be hardworking. You need to keep your head down. You need to not complain. You need to care about what the family values. You need to be able to make money, provide for yourself, blah, blah, blah. Other people, you can drop your experiences. This is just what I've seen. And be gentle, be stubborn, but be like Venusian about it. And the 12th house the whole time is saying, hey, you are strong, you are stubborn, and you also don't need to take any shit. You don't need to participate in your own exploitation. You don't need to be passive when you actually want to get upset about it. You also don't need to overdo that. You can figure out where you're being aggro and stubborn and it doesn't make sense to, and just like let it go. Because Aries are pretty good at being like, I'm so angry, I'm at a 10 and now I'm back to a 0 and like, whatever, man. Where Taurus, I feel like, suppresses that for longer, then get really angry and do the slow burn anger thing. So if you feel judged, I'm sorry. Sort of. Gemini Rising. Gemini Rising, you were told to be silly, to be sociable, to be a jack of all trades, to be like a silly, goofy, wears many hats kind of person. And you do wear many hats and you do have those skills. And your 12th house is pointing to the fact that you need to play with the parts of yourself that are earthy and sensual and want to move slow and don't want to entertain and don't want to pretend and don't want to perform and just kind of want to like be, because you're allowed to do that too. And to point to the areas where you actually are able to focus and be stubborn and be determined. You just have to be interested in it. And Gemini energy, not a whole lot holds your interest for very long unless it has a lot of like depth for you to sink into and like get really into. So that's Gemini Rising. Cancer Rising. You all are pretty good at nurturing and being tender, but again, it's a performance. It's true, but it's not the only thing that's going on. So for the Cancer Risings, you were told to like be maternal, be nurturing, be so soft, be blah, 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 be all these things, be willing to help. That narrative is really destructive because you have the Gemini 12th house where you're like, I don't actually know how long I want to take care of someone. Do I actually want to take care of anyone? Or was I just told that that's what I want? Was I just handed a baby doll immediately after birth and told to like, now you have to have a baby doll? Maybe I am artistic. Maybe I am a trickster. Maybe I am some of these Gemini things. And maybe it's okay for me not to want to hold the interest of whatever the Cancer messaging is for forever. Maybe I just want to play. Maybe I just want to play. Maybe I just want to be a kid. And being aware of the ways that you can be like kind of shifty, kind of non-committal, kind of whatever. You're the tides, you're the Gemini 12th. Cool. So Leo Rising. Really good, again, at being really jovial and really silly and really theatrical and really warm and really wonderful. And your performance is a performance. We're not shocked by this. That's how it works. But you're told to be funny, haha, all the time when like you have Cancer in your 12th. You don't feel funny, haha, all the time. So why would you perform funny, haha, all the time? Because you were told to. You were told that was what you were valuable for. But your 12th house is saying like, I want to be moody. I want to feel the Cancer things. I want to lash out sometimes. I want to be the crab that rips its own arm off. I feel metal and I feel angry and I feel emotional. I don't want to perform funny all the time. And there's the ways that learning how you can be a huge diva, because Cancers can be huge divas, especially paired with that Leo rising, and just keep all that in check. It's fine. Having big feelings does not make you a problem. That makes you human. Virgo Rising. My Virgo Rising friends are, and we're told to be, quite good at being detail-oriented, kind of keeping things moving, keeping things functioning. Sometimes that means doing things as kids that wouldn't be asked of another kid, like balancing a budget or doing some like language translation stuff. Doesn't always have to be that, but that's an example. And trying to fix and keep things running, keep things feeling safe. They were expected to like take a bunch of stuff on. So sometimes you got to look to that 12th to know that like silliness and not having to take things seriously and wanting to be dramatic and wanting to be a kid and wanting to be like loose and jovial and not have to take things seriously or be on top of everything is part of you. And that you're allowed to be dramatic. It doesn't just have to be the adults in your life that are having meltdowns. You are also allowed to have a meltdown, and it doesn't make you ridiculous. Again, it makes you human. Moving on. I feel like I already talked about Libra too much, but we'll do it anyway. Libra Rising. You were told you had to perform diplomacy. You were taught you had to like look a certain way and act a certain way and like beep boop bop in a Libra way. Probably also beauty was like really complimented or dialed up or played into, whatever. And the Virgo 12th house in you says, I want to hang out with nature. I want to get into some nerdy shit. I want to build things. I want to be useful. I want to try things that aren't just using my words. I want to use my body. I want to use my mind. I want to, I don't know, be like a mycelium and go talk to the nature. And I can be really controlling when I don't get my way. And sometimes I use my Libra Rising mask to manipulate. And I have Virgo in the background running the schemes that I'm not always totally aware of, but I'm like doing it with a Libra smile. So permission to be nerdy, not be controlling, maybe lean out of that one, but to have desires and have specifics and have likes and dislikes and be vocal about those. Scorpio Rising, I also feel like I did you, we're doing you again. Scorpio Rising, you were told as a child that you needed to be a secret keeper. Adults told you plenty of inappropriate things that were not age appropriate, not useful for you to know, made it very confusing to navigate dynamics because you knew secrets about people that you weren't supposed to know and you were not supposed to act like you knew those secrets. Beep, boop, boop. So give yourself permission that you don't have to read everyone. It doesn't have to be so deep all the time. It's best for you that it's not so deep all the time because sometimes read as often. People are acting out of their how they were raised, acting out of a pretty unconscious place. And it's not your job to be their therapist or psychoanalyst or analyst at all. You can just do the Libra vibe, witness, notice, let it go. I'm just gonna mind my own business and enjoy this time that we're having. And I don't have to break it down and figure it all out. You can if you want to, and you can just enjoy yourself and notice the thing without having to involve yourself. This is an at to myself as well. Please don't feel uniquely called out. Yeah, and it's okay to just want to have a good time and not be working on something all the time. I feel like Scorpio Risings need to be given permission. Same with Virgo Rising, same with all, well, just you two specifically. I give you permission if you want it. You can take it to plateau. You don't always have to be healing. You don't always have to be growing. There's not seasons that are all, there's no plant that blooms. That's probably not true. Again, biological exceptions, but not a lot of things bloom all year long. Not a lot of things grow all year long. There's like dormant seasons and chilling. I call it plateauing because I will hit therapy really hard. I will hit a self-help book really hard. I will hit a concept really hard. And then I'm like, fuck it. I want to chill now. I'm going to chill now. I'll work on this passively. You can work on things passively. That's allowed. You got to look at the sustainability. And from a Libra rising, sometimes you just want to vibe. That's fine. Okay, Sag rising. This is a tough one. Kind of like Leo rising. Aries rising, you were told to be gregarious and silly and goofy and like knowledgeable and curious and explorative and like worldly and all of these Sag things, and to be focused and to point toward where you're going and to be so gregarious and to be everyone's friend. And like, you don't want to be everyone's friend. That's a performance that you're doing. You getting it into greater balance could make it more true, but you have that Scorpio 12th. You're like, I don't like that person. I know this thing about this person. I saw this behavior. I saw this red flag. I maybe want to investigate things more deeply. Maybe I want to stay put for a while. Maybe I don't want to like do the compulsive travel all the time. And maybe you do, and that's up to you. It's not me to tell you, you to tell you. But you're allowed to want to investigate something more deeply. You're allowed to sit in one place and slow down and unwind your nervous system from people who want you to perform. Okay. Capricorn Rising. Capricorn Risings had to, much like Virgo Risings and Taurus Risings, be adults too soon. I think these people are really funny because when they're really, really little, they act like CEOs or managers or like the oldest child, even if they're not. There's like all of this responsibility on them. And that part's not funny. It's not cool. So, but it also just is the way it is. So whatever. The Capricorn Rising was told to be all those things, to be organized, to be driven, to be strategic, blah, blah, blah. When like, maybe, my friends, the Sag 12th is what you need. Some like traveling around the world and seeing yourself outside of the context of your conditioning and what you're raised to be and what your country said to be, what your parents said to be, and like see all these other ways to be and live and try things out, to believe in things, because you are Saturn ruled. Sometimes you're like, this is unrealistic, I must smash it. And it's like, maybe you don't have to take the wind out of your own sails and other people's. Maybe you could just be, just try, just see a different way. Maybe you could let someone learn their lessons their own way, the hard way, the way that everybody learns everything. This is sassier than I meant it to be, but whatever. And maybe you don't want to be invested in things all the time. Maybe you want to do a Sag drop because you're not interested anymore, and full permission if you want to take it. Okay, Aquarius Rising. What is your thing? You were told to be so unique and so weird, and your parents probably touted you as, look at this little weird child, look how interesting and unique and funny they are. And there was like an expectation to be a little genius and to be weird and out of the box thinker, and like they wanted you to perform being weird and being so smart. And again, maybe you didn't want to be all rebellious and all unique and ruffle all the feathers. Maybe you just wanted to do the Capricorn 12th and like follow systems that are laid out for you. Sometimes not everything has to be reinvented. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single day. And the expectation that you had to is I'm just mad at everyone's parents now. I'm like, I resent all your parents, all of them. I say after posting a story about how I'm reading a codependency book. So yes, maybe you don't want to be unique all the time. Maybe you want to follow a certain, program or protocol, and that works for you. And if it doesn't, don't use it. What's the other piece of this? Oh, and maybe you want to be controlling. Maybe you want people to step in line. Maybe that's okay. Not to control them, but to have the impulse to. Okay, good job. Pisces Risings, hello. Pisces Risings, you were expected to be magical and whimsical and artistic and so feely and so poetic and so sweet and so tender all the time. And you are those things, but you also, if you overdo it, maybe you can step into the 12th house Aquarius part of you that's like, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks about me. I don't have to be tender all the time. I don't have to be everyone's friend. I don't have to be sweet all the time. I can be disliked. I can be unique. I can be like, you don't have to play the part of sweet, tender, bubble sponge. Yep, that's how I see you. You also don't have to be witnessed all the time. Like, maybe you just want to go play your nerdy things, do your crafts, do your whatever, build a computer. I don't know. What's an Aquarius 12th house? You tell me. I don't know. Maybe you want to be a weirdo, but not in a perceived way, So permission for that. Also, a lot of astrologers and the right will tell you to balance out your ascendant with your descendant. That's another way to do this, but I think the 12th house piece is the part that we feel like kind of ashamed of, or we like hid it there for a reason. And the temptation, because the 12th house is like hidden enemies, where part of the 7th house of partnership is also about enemies in plain sight. Don't you love traditional astrology? It's so intense and funny. Enemies in plain sight. So that enemies in hidden sight, out of sight, of the 12th means that sometimes someone can wander in with good intentions that has some signs or has some planets or rising sign in your 12th, and you're like, you're doing this and you're doing that, and what are you doing, and you are trying to hurt me, and because the 12th house is also about victimhood. And maybe some of those people are trying to trick you. Maybe they do have bad intentions, and that is for your own discernment. But not everyone who comes in with 12th house energy is shady. Sometimes they are. That's for you to figure out. And you can only learn by trying. I've been so robotic this whole video. Cool. Well, I hope this was comforting more than it was triggering. I hope it wasn't. But if it was, lean into it. Figure out why. and don't post mean comments. I won't like them. Okay, bye.